Okay, so welcome everyone to my LinkedIn Live on content creation. So many people ask myself, well, Maike, you are in business. So why do you talk about content? Isn't that something for marketing agencies? I don't get it. Well, that's what I'm here for, not only to explain you what my thought process and the one of our company mileage is, but also to enlighten you and give you some insights on content creation. But before that, who am I and what do I do? So today it's me, myself, and I talking about content. So what is content? Content is basically any piece of information you find about people, about companies, everywhere. So when you wake up in the morning and you see there's a brochure sitting next to you, you drive someplace and there's a billboard on the side of the road. Or nowadays, of course, it's when you look into your smartphone. All of that is content. Also, me being live here, that is also content. Having cleared the thought about content, why is content so important? That is the basic question. And also links to it. Why are you, Mike, as a business owner, now talking about content? So now I share my thoughts on it. To me, content creation has a lot to do with how we conduct business. So many people see content creation and the thought process, all the work that goes into it, as a disadvantage. When it's not necessarily. I just tell you how it is and then you decide on your own. So in the past, you as a consumer, you had a certain desire. Let's say you wanted to build a house, you need some construction workers. You wanted to invite friends over, you didn't have time, you needed someone to bake a cake for you. So you went outside, picked up the phone, and before that went on your horse, you looked around and you knew who to talk to. That has changed completely because we're now in an international marketplace, and except for maybe some language barriers and some, time you have for the product to be delivered, you can now source worldwide and we can get all the information online. And this is the first and foremost reason why content is important. So first of all, to get out there, to become known, and then to be present at the point when your customer is about to make a sale. Going back to my earlier example, so if you're my target customer and I do the best cakes in town, you have your aunt coming over and you want her, or you want to treat her with something nice, something special. And if in that moment you either don't think about me or you don't see my content somewhere in the world, preferably on your smartphone, you're not going to think of me, you're not going to do business with me. So thinking of content not as a means to say, oh, here I am and I'm so beautiful and I'm so skinny and whatever, I have a car, a house, or whatever, but think of it, you need this outpost out there in front of the target customer. That is what content is for. And it gets even better. So you can not only position yourself at the right time in front of your customer, you can also kind of filter already, clear the curtains, open the sky, as hopefully the sky and sun will be back in Frankfurt soon. You can do that by targeting your target audience, so to say. You can do that, of course, with your targeted campaigns, but also how in the way you create content, that is going to attract a certain kind of people to you and your business. And that's one of the biggest advantages you can have. I live in Frankfurt. If I go down the side, for example, the big shopping mile here, and there's a Tesla store. And if I see like who's queuing to see it, who's queuing to do a test ride, those are not necessarily the people that do have the budget to buy a Tesla car, but they're super interested. So wouldn't it be cool if Tesla could already filter out the people that they allow to do a test drive? Which is probably a bit hard in person, only because, I didn't dress up properly does not mean I do not have the money. So how to filter that? But online, it can be done in a much easier way. So I hope that has inspired you to think about content differently. Let me know your thoughts. Type in the comments if you agree or disagree. This is not only about content, but it's about the underlying decision each and everyone needs to do. Most likely, if you are in business, self-employed, running a company and not employed. But still, there's also good reasoning to look at creating content yourself via outsourcing it. Doing it yourself, that's what is called DIY. So this means you come up with the content, you create the material, you create the post, you watch what's happening with your post, and you interact. That sounds like a lot of work. It is a lot of work. Outsourcing, on the other hand, this is if you give the task of posting to, let's say, an employee of yours, to a marketing agency, to a freelancer, for example, and they do the work for you. It goes without saying that there's also, of course, briefing needed, but the actual work is done by someone else. So the plus, of course, is that you free your time to do other things. If you're lucky, you have someone with experience on social media, so they know which hashtags to use, what time to post, and so on. So these are part of the pros. But the cons are that often it's done, and then it's at a check mark, and then they're out off to wherever. You, however, as a company owner, you have the motivation that this post goes somewhere and is presented in front of your target audience, ideally without investing much or any money. So the interaction part, which is really critical, can hardly be done by an agency, by a freelancer, first and foremost, because it's not their company. So how can they comment in a meaningful way? And also, a lot of people actually realize if it's not you. So if you have a product and a services that in the end highly depends on your qualified input, on you consulting, coaching, advising, the question is really, can it be done with an agency? So what to do with content is the question here that I'm not only asking, but also answering. In my opinion, you have to do two things in the sense of doing it yourself. I'm really a fan of doing it yourself. First of all, you have to pick the channel that suits you. And number two, you have to pick the content form that suits you. So number one, choosing your channel. So what does this mean? So there's so many different channels on social media, starting with YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, what's that audio thing again called? Clubhouse. Yeah, that's the one. So those are all the different platforms that you can think of. It might be necessary to be present on many, but pick one that suits you, that you think you find your ideal customer, and that you are familiar or have just a passion to really get yourself into. I found my platform, surprisingly, it is LinkedIn. And I love it to spend time for myself, for getting inspiration, for listening, reading, hearing about other people, about other businesses, about new ideas and concepts from the economy. And I also love to be present there. Take me, for example, on Facebook. I'm hardly ever there. Instagram. We do have an account, but neither of us are really, really active. So think of your channel and think of your content form, so to say. So your content form. What does that mean? So the content you present out there can be in a variety of ways. It can be just text. It can be a picture. It can be a slideshow. It can be a document. It can be audio. It can be video. And the important thing is, one, to find one that you're good at, one that you can stick to, and one that you can repurpose. To that in a minute. So me, for example, I love going live. I love the way that I can interact with you, that I can do something spontaneous, that there is also the risk of this going upside down. You might have noticed if you joined from the beginning, I did not have my mic turned on. So I was muted, thanks to Ilkay who was watching, Maike, your mic is not on. That happens. I have to deal with it. I have to come up with a strategy when that happens. And that's what I love about the video content. It's easy for me to produce, and that's why I'm doing it. Plus, now I do have this video. While I'm talking, StreamYard, which is the streaming platform I'm using, is recording a video and an audio file. So I have two things that I can download later on and cut and put into pieces. Plus, this video live, as it is today, is an evergreen. It's going to stay on LinkedIn, it's going to stay on Facebook, and it's going to stay on YouTube, of course, unless I delete it. So independently of how many views I have in live and how much interaction I'm able to get, I still know that you might be able and will watch it later on. And this is for me all that I need to say, okay, well, I found a form, I found something that resonates with people, I'm doing it on a weekly basis at 6:30 at night. And now comes the repurposing part. I can use that content. I said I have a video, I have an audio, I can use it in many different ways. I can summarize my ideas and I can put it into a post if I want to. So this to me is the right content form. And I'm sure there's a content form out there for you. Of course, it can be a mix. And of course, it is worthwhile experimenting. That is my input on content creation. And I'd love to invite you, if you're around and if you watch this video live or within 24 hours. I was invited by the Verband der Gründer und Selbstständigen, which is an organization that unites founders, startups in one organization. And I'm invited to have an expert talk tomorrow, which is Wednesday the 30th at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So please join me, bring all your questions, your doubts, because we're exactly going to talk about content and how you, as a business owner, as a startup, can use it in a way that you think it's really value adding, that you get one step closer to generating leads and finding customers, because that is what we're needing. We're small, but we have the might of the internet, and we're in the same position as all the big companies. If you check out on LinkedIn, if you go to company pages, you see like some companies have less followers, they have less interactions as you and also as me. And this is what pushes me to go further and to create content that allows you to get a grip of who I am and how I work. And if that resonates with you, please get in contact with me. Looking forward to seeing you next week on a brand new topic with me, Maike, your host.